Well, good afternoon guys, and welcome to what I can only describe as a glorious day in the Yorkshire Dales National Park in Northern England. It's a bit of a blue sky day, but there has been cloud around earlier. I'm hoping we might get some cloud later, but you know what? Sometimes you have to embrace the blue and just get out there and see what you can find in a landscape to take a photo of. And believe me, there's plenty in the Dales to photograph. So tonight I'm camping at Keld, which is the highest settlement in Swaledale. And the reason I've come here is because mainly of these stone barns which are scattered throughout the landscape, and they're so closely associated with the Yorkshire Dales National Park. Very, very photogenic. So I'm actually doing a circular walk, which I think is roughly about 6 miles. The plan is to follow the river up towards Mucker, which is well known for its display of wildflowers, and I may be a touch early, but I'm hoping, because we've had such exceptional weather in England in the last few weeks. I feel like I keep saying that in every video about how exceptional the weather has been, but yeah, it's been an absolutely glorious spring. So what I'm hoping that maybe the wildflowers will be out, and if so, the plan is really to photograph one of those barns, or hopefully more than one of those barns, with wildflower meadows around it. But obviously this is all dependent on wildflowers, and really the only way I'm going to find out is by walking there. Now, as I am actually doing a bit of a hike, it's quite important that I keep my bag weight down as low as possible. So a bit like in last week's video where I was doing the cycling, today's setup's quite similar. I've got a single small video camera to record us, I've got one tripod, and I've got one small micro four thirds camera. Now, it's not a new camera by any means, it's actually knocking on probably 10 years old. But it's small and it's lightweight, and with that I'm coupling a couple of small primes and a very small zoom, which I don't think I'll use really, but I've bought it pretty much just as a bit of an insurance policy. So I've tried a couple of compositions, but to be honest, it's not really working. But what I have done now is I've attached the camera with the capture clip onto my bag, attached with the 45mm lens attached, which might be too much of a telephoto, to be honest, but sometimes I like to work from a further distance and coming closer. But that's not the point of me telling you this. The point of me saying that I've got this on my clip is because I think it's always quite a good idea to have your camera handy. Because as soon as you've got your camera in your bag, it sort of becomes one more hurdle that you need to cross before taking a photo. But if I've got my camera here ready to go, what I will do is, if I find something that looks interesting, I can literally just pull the camera up to my eye, have a look, see how it looks. If it's worthwhile, I can then stop and sort of try different focal lengths or whatever. So I suppose almost just think of it as a way of doing a quick sketch in my head of whether a shot will work just by using the camera, get an idea whether we need a different focal length. And of course something may happen that's spectacular that I'll only get in a split second anyway, which is highly unlikely, but you never know. But yeah, what I would say is always try and have your camera handy if you're doing a walk, so at least you can just grab hold of it and see if a shot's worthwhile stopping for before you commit to taking your bag off and getting your tripod out and getting your camera out and all that jazz. Well, it's a gorgeous night, but I'm a little bit concerned. I'm yet to take a photo that I'm particularly pleased with. I took an alright one just to the sheep under the backlit tree, which I managed to sort of get in the shade to get the angles right. So it looked quite nice, but it definitely wasn't the kind of shot I'm looking for. And I think what we're probably going to end up doing is, because I do think I'm too early for the wildflowers, which is a bit of a gutter. So I've taken instead of following the river, I've taken the higher route, and I'm hoping if I spin you round, that in the distance you can make out the network of the stone huts, stone barns and the dry stone walls. And I'm just sort of kind of hoping I can get a nice angle looking down. Almost like an abstract, perhaps cut the sky out. A very stereotypical Yorkshire Dales scene in all fairity. And the light's quite nice, so I think it'll be a pleasant shot. It's just a real shame that we haven't got the wildflowers. Well, I've walked through the meadow and you can see the barns there, but unfortunately it's quite hard to get a good angle on anything. And this one over there, that one's quite interesting, but I don't think it's going to work. And I think unfortunately we're just a good couple of weeks away from these meadows being at the peak, so I'm going to continue that way, and then the plan is to try and get over up here and maybe see if I can find some sort of height looking down. But of course the problem is the sun's now going to dip behind that hill there, and basically all my light's going to go down here. So all in all, I'm not very optimistic. Well guys, I finally have a shot, and it's not ideal, but I quite like it. What I'm doing, I'm using the rocks of the dry stone wall leading all the way through the frame until it finally hits the stone barn in the distance. I've gone for a 1-to-1 crop. I've put the 30mm lens on, 30mm full frame equivalent, so it's a 15mm. I've put that lens on, which means I'm quite wide, so I'm sort of, the rocks at the front are sort of really filling the frame, and it's going through. It's quite a simple composition. I've gone to 1-to-1 square crop mainly because I wanted to cut off any bits that weren't in the shade, because I don't want the sky in, I don't want the hills in the distance. I want it to be a nice simple shot looking that way. It may potentially make a nice mono, may go for colour, not really decided yet. I don't think I'll know until I actually take this shot. So I've gone for f8, ISO 200, that's giving me a 30th of a second. Simple shot. As ever, it's nice just to have one in the bag that I feel like I've set up properly. Hopefully you guys will agree it was worth it. Right, we may perhaps have a shot, but I'm going to have to work quite quick. I've put the 45mm lens on, and basically there's an old dead tree which is silhouetted against a nice lit backdrop of the surrounding hills, so I think it could possibly work. I think the problem I'm going to have is getting the right sort of angle so I can get some foreground interest, which will be the water, whilst making sure there's no sky in the shot, because I need no sky, because as soon as I get sky in the shot, it basically fails. But yeah, it's been a lovely walk, but frustrating photo shoot today, to be honest. But what I would say is carrying a little micro four thirds camera, the one thing I haven't had to worry about is weight. My bag has not been an issue at all. And I think that's the whole point. And I think the problem with micro four thirds is it's a great system, but people judge it sometimes on its weaknesses, which is the small sensor. What they seem to forget are its advantages of the possibility of really small bodies and really small lenses. I'm using a polarizer to try and cut through the reflections of the bright sky. I'd like to get a bit of movement in the water, so I am going to increase the aperture to F14, which yes, I know it's going to give me diffraction, but it's also going to give me a slightly longer shutter speed. In fact, I'm even going to try setting the, I've never done this before, setting the ISO to low, which does give me just over a second. And whilst I don't think this shot's going to win any awards anytime soon, it's quite pleasant. And I'm out with my camera, so I might as well take it. And if I'm going to take it, I might as well share it with you guys. Well, I seem to be having a square day, which happens quite often. But let's see if we can find one final photo. So, I know that if I don't answer this question, then I'm going to get numerous comments asking me why I didn't tell you. So, the burning question is what is the camera that I'm using? What is my new old Micro Four Thirds camera? Well, it happens to be an Olympus PEN-F. An absolute beautiful camera. I do think overpriced, even second-hand overpriced. I managed to find one for the right price because it had a very, very, very slight scratch on it. But considering how old it is, and I'll put the age of the release date up on the screen for you now because I don't know off the top of my head. Considering how old it is, it does still command quite a good price on the used market. Now, I think a lot of that is due to the construction and the design, because I've got to say, it is probably the most beautiful Micro Four Thirds camera I've ever used. And I know there's an argument that it's a tool, it doesn't have to look pretty, and it doesn't. But you know what? If it makes you happy and you enjoy using it, you're likely to take it out more and take more photos. So, I get it, I do get it. And I like an EVF off to the side. I'm always quite like that. Oh, excuse me. The locals were wondering what I was doing. Bye, guys. I'm not sure if you can make this out, but it's looking like there's a little waterfall down there, nicely in the shade. Which I reckon, if the sheep allow me, could actually make quite a nice final image for this video. I'm not holding out much hope for being much water flowing at the moment because, as I said, we've had an exceptional spring and it's been really dry, but there's definitely some water coming. Let's navigate a bit of rock, swinging around, hopefully you can see a bit more now. Well, I can hear it. There's water, which is always mighty useful for waterfall. I think that could make quite a nice pleasant shot. I'm going to quickly talk you through the shot. Very simple. Waterfall. The waterfall comes on the right hand side down, and then almost leads the eye back down and straight down here, and then this little bit of rock at the bottom sort of makes the frame. I've been very careful to make sure I'm not getting any sky in the shot, because as soon as I get sky in the shot, then it just it kills it basically. It's pretty much just a nice intimate shot of this waterfall. Now, as you probably just saw, I'm getting 2 seconds, f16 ISO 200. We'll have a quick look at the histogram. It's slightly underexposed, to be honest, but I think I'm going to leave it at that because I quite like the look. And on that note, here's the shot. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed that photo. I've got 3 shots I actually quite like, and there has been moments today where I thought I wasn't going to get anything, and I think a lot of this is down to expectations. I had this preconceived idea in my head I was going to get here, photograph barns with lovely meadow, and then I was going to go up on a hill and have nice fluffy clouds and great big vistas, but there were no clouds. That's why I've stopped low in the valley, because I thought I could come and explore and maybe try and sort of offset light and shadow and things like that, or just work totally in shadow. And it's been fun, and you know what, I've had a blast with this little camera. It is a thing of beauty, it has to be said. Okay, I wouldn't want it to be my main camera perhaps, but you know, for a fun camera with 2 primes, it takes a lot of beating, and you will definitely be seeing it again soon, because I've got a feeling this camera's going to be going on quite an adventure. And on that note guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you again soon for another one. Thanks for watching.